Hello, welcome to our podcast, Afterthoughts. My name is Joshua Kazemi, and this is a podcast where me and my co-host, Coleman Taylor, we talk about our first impression of a movie, and after some time we rewatch the movie and talk about our second opinion and see what things have changed, how we view the movie in a different light now, and then in the second half of our podcast, first episode, in the second half of our podcast, we talk about an interesting topic that may or may not relate to the movie that we watched. So, yeah, let's get started. Welcome, Coleman Taylor.
Hi, I'm
How you doing?
Coleman. I'm doing good. How are you, man?
Good. Do you mind if I introduce you as Cole the Coleman Taylor Thomas in the future?
You know I absolutely don't mind at all.
Cool. And then, I don't know, maybe we'll explain it, maybe we won't. We'll see.
Yeah, let's keep it a mystery for now, maybe keep listening,
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so our movie this week is Finding Dory. I almost said Finding Nemo. I keep wanting to say Nemo, like at the box office both times. I was like, can we see Finding Nemo?
I know.
Or whatever. So I saw the movie back in June for the first time, and then my second time was with you, which was your first time.
It's true.
Yes, and then I saw it again. Okay, that was my second time. Right. So we saw it a couple weeks later, saw it again, and wrote our thoughts down both times. So let's talk about... Well, actually, I guess, should we talk about Finding Nemo first, so to get a baseline?
Yeah, we can start with Finding Nemo. That'd be good.
Okay, so what did you think of Finding Nemo?
I guess first of all, I'll start with Pixar. I think Pixar is fantastic. So, just already with all their movies they've made, Toy Story, obviously all the great ones that came out.
Right.
So they're already held to a high standard. So Finding Nemo just wasn't exactly my favorite, but obviously it's good. Anything that comes out by Pixar is always already pretty much good. But I don't know. I just couldn't get into the characters as much. Like, I loved Dory, but Marlin was kind of stick in the mud and kind of was the whole time. And then Nemo was just kind of straightforward, I guess. Like, all the other characters, all the like side characters were awesome, but that kind of just, I don't know. It was just never one of my favorites. What about you?
I love Finding Nemo. I really enjoyed it the first time around. I've enjoyed it in rewatches over the years. And so to me, it's like it's up there, like top 10, or it's like, to me, it's like a classic 3D animated movie. So I was kind of nervous to hear that Finding Dory was happening, especially like 12 years later or whatever. And so because of that, I like only watched the teaser. I didn't read reviews. Yeah. I wanted to go in with low expectations and not knowing what the plot was. So that's how I started before I went into the first movie. But so were you not expecting very much from this?
Not necessarily. I don't know. I wouldn't say I wasn't expecting anything. It's still Pixar, but I don't know. I wasn't as, like, for example, I was super worried about Toy Story 3 because it's like, wow, this is so much later, and Toy Story 1 and 2 were amazing, so how can you make this even more amazing? I don't know. But with this one, it's like, I thought Finding Nemo was good, but if Finding Dory's doesn't blow my socks off, it's nothing I didn't expect, I guess.
Okay. Well, so the first time I saw Finding Dory, the first thing that sort of struck me while I was watching the movie was like I was so surprised by how funny it was, because I didn't expect like a 12-year-old sequel of a kids movie to be as funny, or to maybe like, the humor I thought was funny when I was younger and saw Finding Nemo. Like, I thought maybe it would be humor that would only be funny to like a child audience, but I thought this movie was hilarious, like through and through, like really funny all the way until the very end of the movie, and so that surprised me, and I think it just helped me enjoy whatever it is that happened, like good or bad. I enjoyed the movie because it was funny throughout.
I see. Well, I thought it was funny. The thing is, I hate to just compare it to Pixar's other movies, but I just didn't think it was as funny as Pixar could have been. Like, kind of just like similar jokes, I guess. That was, I don't know, nothing like, I guess my main thing with the movie, it wasn't like boundary breaking. Like, it was nothing extremly new and out there, which is kind of what I expect from Pixar. It was just like, here's another story we can tell you, I guess.
Well, like from like an animation standpoint, I thought there was something interesting. Not groundbreaking though, but I thought it was interesting. Like in the first movie, the ocean is animated so beautifully, like it just looks gorgeous, and you want to like be in that environment. But this one is like more realistic, therefore like it looked dirtier.
Yeah,
it didn't look as pretty. So it's like this weird, like walking the line of like it's more realistic and it's more impressive, but it is less like visually appealing.
Right. Yeah.
So that was, I don't know, that was interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like the one thing I guess stuck out that first time watching it is like there's a lot of obstacles in the movie. It feels like and then this happens, and then this happens.
Mm-hmm.
There is sort of like a cause and effect to it, but it felt like, just like a series of crazy events over and over again.
Yeah.
And it made me feel like it was like, I don't know, it feels like less sophisticated storytelling than Nemo or than other Pixar movies.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of agree with the disoriented feel, I guess, like the kind of just disconnected like series of events totally. I definitely agree with that. When I first went in, it just felt like, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, just one after the other. And I think that was my main thing with the movie. It just kind of felt all over the place. All these things are going on, but not necessarily connected. But one thing I did love was young Dory. I loved young Dory.
Yeah.
She really shined
really
through. I'm so glad they added her into the movie. That was so, like, every flashback I was like, yes, this is awesome. Even if it's, like, not as connected and doesn't flow the best, I love these flashbacks and getting to see young Dory.
Mm-hmm. And flashbacks are kind of like, I mean, you can do them well, and if they serve the film well, then they're sort of forgivable. But, like, from a storytelling standpoint, flashbacks are kind of like they weaken your narrative just a bit because it's a bit of a cheat. But she was so cute and funny, and I forgave it.
I know,
and it was fine.
Awesome.
But yeah, to what you were saying, like I think the movie as a whole, it was like, and then this happens after Finding Nemo. The whole movie was like, it didn't feel necessary. Right. My cousin at the end of when we watched it together the first time, she was like, it feels like a short film. It feels like a DVD extra. And I agree. That's kind of how I felt about Monsters University. Like, it's a fun story, and I'm glad that I watched it, but it still was just like not as good as Nemo.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Yeah, I kind of thought what your cousin said, actually, and I had a similar comparison, but I didn't really make that comparison until my second time watching it, so I won't get too much into that now, but...
Right.
Yeah. And another thing, though, is first impression that I still thought Marlin was, like, just still a lot of a stick in the mud. Like, the first movie's over. I feel like he should have been less of a, like, just kind of hesitant the whole time and still, like, I feel like he already should have been more willing to be adventurous.
You're addressing something that I wrote down. Yeah, you're definitely hitting something that I thought of the second time around, so I'll save it, but
yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, let's talk about, like, did you find it emotional? Like, did that final beat where she meets her parents, did that, like, impact you?
Yes, yes, definitely, especially because they were waiting for her the whole time. I really did enjoy that. That was really cool that they knew she would come back, and she really did.
Yeah, it really got me when they were like, we go out every day putting the shells, like that was such a beautiful thing, and I teared up just a little bit, and I thought that I was like surprised by that, because in the opening of the movie, it opens just like Nemo. It's like, here's the emotional like core of the movie. We're gonna open up the same way we did Nemo, but it's significantly shorter, and it wasn't as an emotional impact. Like Nemo was like, oh my gosh, this is a kids movie, and it's opening up, and you see the mom die, like you see all that go down,
right?
And it's like that's what you open with, and this was like much shorter, much sweeter, and way less dramatic. So I didn't think the emotional beat would hit me as hard as it did, but I enjoyed it. It was like that was a really great thing about, just parents and kids and all that stuff. It was really cool.
Yeah. Like, it kind of just goes with, like, with the same feeling of the whole movie. Like, it was good. It was, like, I definitely felt it, but still not, like, super emotional or anything. Which I kind of felt like that's what they went for in that moment anyways.
Sure.
Like, it's not like Marlin's wife and all his children dying. It's like a reunion, like, oh, that's sweet, and they waited for the whole time.
That's true. All right, do you have anything else about your first impression?
No, I think that about covers my first impression.
Okay, all right. So second impression, you saw it for the second time you saw it for the first time with me, and then when did you see it again?
I saw it in theaters with Alex, so.
Okay. Cool. So, second impression, let me think. I think it... I mean, we talked about it just then, and not a super glowing review, not terrible either, but I think in the second viewing, for me, it, like, fell apart even more.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I would just say it highlighted even more what I did like and even more what I didn't like. Like, the things that I liked the first time, I enjoyed even more the second time, and the things I didn't like the first time, I didn't like even more the second time.
Yeah, and it was still fun that second time. Like, I picked up on little jokes here and there that I didn't get the first time around, and so yeah, it was still definitely fun. But yeah, like, I wrote this down. I was like, it feels like what we were saying, a series of events. It feels like these characters, like, as lovable and as fun as they are, they're just like falling down a staircase together.
Yeah,
it's not like decisive plot points. It's like just tumbling down this staircase, and it's like a fun ride, but it also feels like it jerks instead of it flowing.
Yeah.
And that was much more evident the second time I watched it.
Yeah. Like, for me, like what I said last time, so I liked young Dory even more. Like, I was just like, I don't know, I just really enjoyed that, like, her parents loved her so much, and then that meant even more when they were reunited, and just how, like, innocent she was, and how she kind of still is innocent as an adult. Like, I don't know. I just really enjoyed that, all of that, like, being in the movie. But again, on the other side of that, Marlin, like, anytime there was a scene with Marlin and Nemo, I was just kind of like, okay, let's get back to more important things, I guess. Like, that's great, but, like, you know, let's go back to Dory.
Okay, so I guess I disagree with you a little bit about Marlin, because this is something I picked up the second time around that I didn't even think about the first time. It was like, I did like that Marlin is ultimately the same guy he always was. Like, he didn't... I would have felt weird if he just immediately changed in this second movie. So I like that he still was fearful and still didn't really trust Nemo or Dory.
Yeah.
But then very quickly was like, okay, I should trust them. Like, it didn't take him the whole movie to do it again.
Yeah.
Like, it shows a little bit of growth instead of, like, total success and growth in that area. Like, he is still like this human character that, you know, is going to change, but he's going to do it gradually and slowly.
Yeah.
And then the thing about Nemo that I liked a lot, they didn't mention the gippy fin at all. Like, in this movie, that's not a thing at all. It never gets him into trouble. You know, he feels like an older, more mature character in this movie. And that's something I didn't notice the first time around, but the second time I really appreciated it.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. Kind of going back to, like, I think my main qualm that I came away with the second time, and kind of putting it back on the first time too, is it really did feel unessential to the story. Like, it kind of felt like it could just be a TV show, like...
Yeah.
Not that... Just that it wasn't, like a film sequel, I guess. Not, like... If it was originally made as a TV show, that's different. But, like, a Disney TV show or something like that. Like the Aladdin TV show. I don't know. It just, like, didn't feel as essential as, like... Comparing it to Toy Story again. But Toy Story 1, 2, and 3 are, like, that story. They're all together. This is, like... If you liked Finding Nemo, you can watch this if you'd like.
Yeah. It's like a one-off.
Yeah.
Like... I think a rule for sequels is, like, you got to raise the stakes or it feels the way this does, just sort of like a one-off episodic thing. And I don't feel like the stakes were raised. It's like, if Dory doesn't find her parents, then she's in the same position she was for the entire first movie. Like, nothing bad's going to happen to her if she doesn't find them. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes it all feel just kind of like this fun and quirky adventure.
Yeah.
But that's another thing, like, similarly to the way that the animation is more realistic but less beautiful, like, it's this catch-22 of, like, I think this plot is designed around Dory, which I really appreciate. If she's the main character, cater it to her, but that's why it feels so disjointed, because she's a disjointed person. She can't really make decisions ahead of time. You know, she has this goal, but things happen to her and she reacts. That's, like, the essence of her function in these movies. So she's the reason why it feels disjointed, and it's like, is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? It's kind of both.
I don't know.
I don't know.
That's interesting. It's an interesting thought, indeed. Like,
I wouldn't. I don't know if I would change that.
Yeah.
If I was the filmmakers.
Like, that's just, like, an interesting, like, filmmaking thought. Like, should you make it surrounded, like, from your character's perspective, or how your audience would, like, the story would flow better? I like that. But, back to it being, like, realistic. One thing, though, is towards the end, I felt like the movie was very unrealistic. I don't know. It just... Because in the first one, the fish don't really do anything too dramatically crazy. The craziest thing is that they could, like, think that if the humans put us in the bags, we can roll out the window. But in this one, it's like an octopus is driving a car towards the end, and it's like, where does he get this knowledge? Like, this just feels so unrealistic, and I don't know. It felt strange to the overall movie, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was thinking about this today. It was, like, kind of weird that all these characters get exactly what they want, and then some.
Yeah.
You know, usually a character thinks they want something, and by the end of it, they realize, you know, that's not what they needed.
Yeah.
And that's part of their development and their growth. But Dory gets exactly what she wants. Everybody does.
Yeah.
And it felt kind of odd. Like, it was great for them as characters, but, like, from a story perspective, it was like, I don't know if that's... Like, should they have let her stay? I feel like maybe they should have let her stay with her family.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And they should have said goodbye. That would have been another, like, really emotional beat. But,
right. Yeah.
I don't know. There's going to be a third one, probably.
Right. Another interesting thing I thought, though, the second time around was how you would... in the first movie, Dory was kind of a crutch because she can't remember anything, and you'd expect her to be a crutch, but in this one, Marlin and Nemo are a crutch the entire movie, and I think that's why I was so annoyed going back to scenes with them. She has to save them in the end. They're always, like, lost or not where she is, and I'm just like, ugh. It's so weird that they're the crutch and she's not. Which it's
they sort of, like, they undercut their reunion is undercut by, like, oh, I forgot about them. I need to go get them.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
So I thought that was interesting. Which makes sense.
Okay, so,
like we said, it's her movie, so...
Yeah, definitely. So overall, what do you think of the movie?
Overall, I would still put it as really good. Obviously, like, there's nothing wrong with the story. The characters are still all great. Like, I wouldn't say don't go see this movie, but still not Pixar's absolute best, obviously. But
sure.
if you love Finding Nemo, there's no reason you should not go see this movie.
I agree. All right, so should we move on?
I guess so.
Okay, so the second half of our podcast is going to be more just open-ended discussion about interesting themes that are going on in today's world and today's media. So this week we figured with a 12-year-old sequel, let's talk about nostalgia in media and in culture.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so it's like undeniable that it plays a massive role in today's society, in American society.
For sure.
Like, it's undeniable. Like, Pokemon Go is literally fueled by it.
Right.
And it's taking over. And this movie, a slew of, like, sequels, remakes, reboots, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's cool to have record players. It's cool to have retro things and to appreciate what's come before us. Right. So, I don't know. What does that do for, like, all the media that's being created, all the products that are being created? Do we, like, we just go back to what we had before? Is it progress? I don't know.
I don't know. When I was thinking about it, it kind of made me just think, like... So I saw an article that it was about how Pokemon Go is using nostalgia from 90s kids to fuel their marketing and getting the app purchased and stuff. And they talked about how the 90s kids had it so well, like, everything was going great economically and things like that, so they just had all these stuff around them, guess. So they associate with things from the 90s with, like, good times, and now that we're older and we've gone through recessions and things like that, now we take things that play off that nostalgia and, like, feed off that, I guess. And I thought that was interesting because it reminded me of, like, a kind of No Country for Old Men thing, like how when you get older you always think the world was better before, when really nothing's really changing. It's all really essentially the same. I mean, there's ups and downs, highs and lows, but really it's all the same world. Like, nothing ever changes. You just have this knowledge base that before it was better, so I'm going to go off that. So I thought that was interesting.
That is interesting. Yeah, because, like, to me it seems as though it's playing a massive role in our society right now, but maybe that's just because I'm older and I'm more aware of it. Like, that 70s show was a really big show in, like, the late 90s, early 2000s, and that was a show that was built around it, too. So right. I think it's probably always been around, one generation looking back to the one before it.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Do you think it makes things better or more enjoyable?
I think it can in a sense, obviously, if you're not obsessed with it. I think it, just, I guess, with all things, in moderation, I suppose. Definitely, I think there's nothing wrong with looking back and thinking of good times, but sometimes, especially when you look at the videos of people, that's all they do and things like that, it kind of feels like a bread and circuses kind of things. Like, just, there's huge issues going on right now with political election coming up and things going on, and then so many people are just obsessed with Pokemon Go. So, I guess, with just, I don't know, it's something fun to do in your free time, things like that, but just without obsession. Yeah, I think it totally can be a good thing.
That's true. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I wonder, is it like a form of escapism? Like, does it make you feel? Does it remind you of simpler times, or is it just kind of like, this is a fun thing I remember when I was a kid, and it's fun to do it now?
Exactly.
I don't know.
I think it can be either, and it's really just your mindset around it, is what I would think.
Mm-hmm. So I think it is cool, like, in the world of film and television, it can be really fun. Like, Stranger Things is, like, a new Netflix show that's getting a lot of buzz, and, like, people describe it like it's an 80s Spielberg kind of movie, or I mean a show. Mm-hmm. It's like the list of reasons that it's good is nostalgia. Like, people like describe it good because it reminds them of older 80s Spielberg type movies. Oh. So I think it's like a cool thing, but does it hurt? Does it ultimately hurt, like, new creativity? Are we going to get less and less original things, or things that don't necessarily pay homage to something before it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it depends. Because it also... So people flock to those things, like we said. So they flock to nostalgic things, or kind of like the whole idea of remakes and sequels. Like, people go to what they already know. But that also kind of fuels money for the creative aspects. So people going to see those and buying those will still bring in revenue and money for other people to then take that money and do more creative things and come up with new ideas. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. So
I bet if Pokemon Go is making a ton of money, it is also, like, pushing forward new technology. This is like VR game playing. Right. That it is sort of, that's pioneering new technology, but it's sort of being fueled by nostalgia. That's interesting.
And, like, another thing that's coming out, I actually don't know when, but Final Fantasy VII Remake's coming out, so, like, that's just playing off. That was a huge game back when it first came out, and so that'll just bring in tons of money for Square Enix to make newer, more creative ones after that. Mm-hmm. We'll see if they can actually pick their creativity back up, though, let's be real.
So, yeah, I guess not a super, like, revolutionary conclusion. It's not inherently bad or good.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of one of those things that's just depends on your attitude towards it, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, it's the reason that Finding Dory happened.
Yeah. See?
Like, milking off of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess, good or bad, depending on whether or not you enjoyed the movie.
Right. And these things are still all great. Like, I love Finding Dory and Pokemon Go, just as long as it's, like, I don't know, an obsession, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. And like 21 Jump Street, I thought was a really great movie, and it sort of, was this remake of the show. And I think what I liked about it so much was that because of this world that we've created of a ton of sequels, a ton of remakes and reboots and things like that, it sort of tackled the challenge of, like, how do we set ourselves apart in this world of just like oversaturated, like, nostalgia everywhere. And I think it because of the new creative challenge, it felt really satisfying that they pulled it off.
Yeah.
So if it can keep pushing people to, like, it sort of forces people into a corner where they have to become creative, then that's a really cool thing.
Yeah. That's true. That's very true. Like, how many more different versions can you come up of Batman? I don't know.
We'll see. I just wish we had a different word for it, because I have such a hard time saying nostalgia.
Nostalgia.
Nostalgia. It's so weird.
They just don't want you to say it. Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
No, I think that about covers it.
Cool.
Anything else from you?
All right. Yeah. And no, I said it all.
Sweet.
All right. So I guess you listeners out there, let us know what you think about this topic, about finding Dory, finding Nemo, whatever. You can tweet at us. I'm at Joshua Kazemi. Coleman's still working on it, right?
Yeah, I'm working on it.
All right, we'll let
there.
you know when he's got that up and going, and you can send us some tweets, and you can ask us questions or whatever, and yeah, just find us. If you liked this, maybe write a little iTunes review.
Yeah,
let us know what you thought.
Just a little review, just to let us know. Let us know
just
what
a
you
little
think,
one, little 5 stars, whatever. This is the first episode. We're still figuring it out, and we're open to feedback, suggestions. We wanna make it better.
Or if you just want to tell us how great or how terrible we are, just let us know.
Great, yeah. We'll take it.
We'll take any reviews.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see y'all next week.